All right. Let me begin recording on my end as well. Okay, excellent. So I've begun recording. Zhihua has also begun recording. All right, thank you, everyone. Okay, good evening, brothers and sisters. Hello, welcome to the online Dhamma Exploration 2024 for the Malaysian Buddhist Examination. So, first of all, I want to apologize. I'm not in a very good condition. I've fallen sick since yesterday, so I'm very unwell. So I'll do my best to share the session, and if there are any questions, feel free to ask your questions. And also, if I need to stop at some point, then I would let you all know as well. So I'm a bit unwell today. So yeah, okay, good. All right, let's begin. Also, like if my head is hurting or my legs are aching, yeah, I ask for forgiveness as well. So yeah, okay, good. So let me begin sharing my screen. All right, yes. All right, excellent. So this is the online Dhamma exploration for the Malaysian Buddhist Examination. This event has been running for the past few years as well. Some of you are repeat participants, right? You have also attended the session in previous years. Yeah. And this year, I'm trying to attempt something different. I also want to include the senior and higher stages as well. All right. So for those who are taking the senior and higher papers, we are having our session on Sunday night, Sunday evening. Okay. Now, the important thing to note is that I won't be able to cover everything in these 3 sessions, right? So for that, you will need the textbook, right? And also do a lot of past year questions. All right. So do read up in the textbook and also look in the try the past year questions as well. All right. Good. So let's move on. Right. So this event is brought to you by MYTTA, the youth arm of the Theravāda Buddhist Council of Malaysia, as well as YBAM, Kuala Lumpur and Selangor State Liaison Committee. All right, so thank you, Brother Zhihua from YBAM, KL and Selangor SLC. Okay, so let us begin with paying homage to the Buddha. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Homage to him, the blessed one, the perfected one, the supremely awakened one. Tisarana, the threefold refuge. To the Supreme Buddha, the teacher of gods and humans. To the sublime Dhamma, the truth and the way to ultimate joy. And to the noble Sangha, the protectors of Lord Buddha's message. We go for refuge. We seek no other refuge. Buddhang saranang gacchami, Dhammang saranang gacchami, Sanghang saranang gacchami. Tutiyampi Buddhang saranang gacchami, Tutiyampi Dhammang saranang gacchami, Tutiyampi Sanghang saranang gacchami, Tatiyampi Buddhang saranang gacchami, Tatiyampi Dhammang saranang gacchami, Tatiyampi Sanghang saranang gacchami. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. All right, so this is the Malaysian Buddhist Examination Syndicate. This is the poster for it. So do take note what are your time slots for your respective stages. So for preliminary stages, junior stages, senior stages, and higher stages. All right, so these are the time slots. The date of the exam is the same every year. It's always 31st of August. It's a public holiday, National Day or Independence Day. And it's on that day afternoon. Yeah. Okay. And this is the website for the Malaysian Buddhist Examination. So feel free to check out the website as well. All right. So let's go through the format and the syllabus for the exams. So this one, in this session, we are covering preliminary stage and junior stage. Yeah. So for the preliminary stage, you have one paper, 1 hour duration, 40 multiple choice questions, and 10 fill in the blank questions. Okay, so you answer all questions. So this is the scope of the examination, the syllabus. The life of the Buddha from his birth until his enlightenment, and then the Dhamma and the Suttas, the threefold refuge, the Vandana, the homage to the Buddha, Dhamma, and Sangha, and then Pancha Sila or Pancha Sikkhapada, and then Dasa Kusala Kamma. Okay, and then for the Sangha, these are some of the important disciples of the Buddha that we need to know. All right. So for the junior stage, one paper, and this is 1.5 hours duration. You have 55 multiple choice questions and 20 fill in the blank questions. All right. Again, you can find more information here in their website. So for the junior stage scope of examination, the life of the Buddha, the syllabus is a bit longer. So you have to know everything from the preliminary stage, okay? But not just birth to enlightenment, you also have to know from enlightenment all the way to Parinibbana. All right? And then the Dhamma and the Suttas, in addition to what you need to know in the preliminary stage, you also need to know the 8 precepts, the 10 perfections, the 4 noble truths, and the Mangala Sutta. All right? And the Sangha for this syllabus, you need to know some of the important disciples of the Buddha and also some important lay disciples of the Buddha, all right? Especially these few names, all right? Very important names, okay? All right. Okay, so the most important practice that you need to do is the past year papers. I have heard that in recent years they try to make it a little bit more different and they try to make it a little bit more challenging. That's what I've heard. So you can try the past few years. Before that, prior to last year or last few years, it might be a bit more repetitive. So anyway, try to complete as many sets as possible, right? Try to complete the past year papers as many sets as possible, especially the recent years, 2023, 2022, and so on. Because I've heard in recent years they make it a bit more challenging. They vary the questions a little bit more. Okay, so at least that's what I've heard. All right. Okay, so feel free to do the past year questions, and if you have any questions, feel free to ask during this session, during the ODE session, the online Dhamma exploration session, or you are all in the WhatsApp group. Yeah, you can also post your question in the WhatsApp group, and then we can all help each other. We can all try to answer those questions. All right. Okay, excellent. All right. Okay. Good. So let's begin with the life of the Buddha. So today we'll cover the preliminary stage from the life of the Buddha from his birth until his enlightenment. Today we'll cover that. Okay, and then if we have time, we can cover some of the Dhamma syllabus. It depends on how far I can go, depending on the condition of my body as well. So if I need to end early, I'll let you all know. All right, good. Okay, let's begin with the life of the Buddha Gautama. All right, so his life and his message. This is the very man or the very person that gives us the religion of Buddhism, right? This is the very person who gives us the way to follow him, to become Buddhas, right? And it is important for us as Buddhists, we want to know who is this character, who is this person, and what is his life story, and also what are his virtues. All right? So we'll begin at the beginning, the birth of the Bodhisatta. The Bodhisatta, technically, sometimes we say that Wesak Day. Sometimes we say Wesak Day, we celebrate the birth and the enlightenment and the Mahaparinibbana of the Buddha. Technically, the Buddha wasn't born because when he was born, he wasn't a Buddha yet, right? So technically, it's the birth of the Bodhisatta. But of course, we understand when we say the birth of the Buddha, we mean that the birth of the person who would become the Buddha, right? So the birth of the Bodhisatta, when the Bodhisatta was born, he was not yet a Buddha. He was still unenlightened and unawakened. But already there's already a strong sense of mission. So let us explore that. So the Bodhisatta was born as Prince Siddhartha Gautama. He was the son of a king. All right. So he's a prince of the Sakya clan. And his father is King Suddhodana. And his mother is Queen Mahamaya. All right. So Queen Mahamaya, his birth mother, died after 7 days and was reborn in Tusita heaven. All right. And Queen Mahapajapati Gautami was Queen Mahamaya's sister, and she became the foster mother of the Bodhisatta. She became the foster mother of the prince. So she started to nurture him and took care of him as he grew up. The birth took place at the Lumbini garden. All right. Yes. So this is a picture of the Lumbini garden. Many years ago, more than 1,000 years ago, more than 2,000 years ago, more than 2,500 or possibly 600 years ago, this is the place at the Lumbini Park. This is the place where the Bodhisatta Gautama was born. Now, the reason we call Wesak Day is because this is the month of Vesakha. Vesakha is actually the name of the month. So the birth of the Bodhisatta Gautama, as well as the Buddhahood, the enlightenment of the Buddha, as well as the Mahaparinibbana of the Buddha, all three of these events took place under the full moon of Vesakha. All right. So this is the Vesakha month. That's why we call it Vesak Day, okay, or Vesakha Puja. A child was born to King Suddhodana and Queen Mahamaya of the Sakya clan. When the Buddha was born, or when the Bodhisatta was born, as a baby prince, he took 7 steps, and every step there's a lotus that appeared, that emerged. So he took 7 steps on 7 lotuses. And after 7 steps, he uttered the great utterance of the leader. So we'll come to this one later. For those of you who are interested to look for the sources of these pictures that I'm including, so I've included these links, so you can also use these links to get some of the pictures of the life of the Buddha. Right? They are very beautiful pictures. So if you can see some of these pictures, very nice. All right, good. Yeah. So these are some of the links you can get the pictures of the Buddha's life story. All right. Okay, hang on. I need to get a drink. So give me 1 minute. As the Bodhisatta, as the baby prince, walked 7 steps, he made this declaration, or he made this proclamation. Aggo hamasmi lokasa, jeto hamasmi lokasa, seto hamasmi lokasa, ayamantima jati natidani punnabhavo. So you can see this is Queen Mahamaya, the mother, and this is the baby prince as he walked on 7 steps. Aggo, Agga means the foremost or the chief. Jeto means the best or the supreme or the most excellent. Seto also means the preeminent, the chief, the best. Okay, so Loka means world. This Bodhisatta is saying that in this world I am chief, in this world I am supreme, in this world I am preeminent. Chief am I in this world, I am the eldest in the world, I am the foremost in the world. This is my last birth, now there is no more renewed existence. So jati means birth or rebirth. There is no longer any renewal of existence, there's no longer any rebirth. So already when the Bodhisatta was born, he was born with a strong sense of mission. He knows that he was born to be a leader. He was born to be the leader of the world. And that's why he's saying, I am chief, I am preeminent, I am supreme, I am foremost, I am eldest. And he knows that this would be his last birth and there is no more renewal of existence. So this is a good reflection for all of us as we go to the Buddha for his Dhamma, as we go to the Buddha for his teachings. Do we share this sense of mission as the Buddha? Do we share this sense of leadership? The Bodhisatta is here to be a leader and we are his followers. Do we also be a good follower? Are we also becoming a good follower as well as good leaders in our Buddhist societies? As soon as the Bodhisatta was born, he stood firmly with his feet on the ground. Then he took 7 steps facing north. With a white parasol held over him, he surveyed each quarter and uttered the words of the leader of the herd. So this is the birth of the Bodhisatta. Then now the baby prince was brought back to the palace, the king. And one sage or one wise and holy man, his name is Asita or Kala Devala, he visits the king and he knows that this baby was, the birth of this baby was an extraordinary event. In fact, if we look in one of the suttas, the sage Asita Kala Devala was actually looking up, looking to the heavens, and he was noticing that the devas were rejoicing a lot. And he realizes, oh wow, why are the devas rejoicing so much? And he visits them, and the devas tell him, right, the Bodhisatta is born. And so now this sage Asita went to the palace to visit the king in order to also pay his respect to this baby. As Asita was paying homage to the baby, the feet of the prince turned and rested on the matted locks of the sage. This is also the first time the royal father saluted the baby. Asita rose from his seat and saluted the infant prince with joined palms. The sage first smiled and then wept. This must be great news for Asita. Can you imagine? The Devas has been waiting for many, many years. Finally, the Bodhisatta is born. And then now they rejoice. Similarly, Asita has been also waiting for the appearance of the Buddha, for the emergence of the Buddha. And now the Bodhisatta is born. He must be very happy. So that's why he had first a smile on his face. But then he started to weep. He started to shed tears. Now, why is that? I think most of you already know the answer. So, Asita, the sage, he smiled at first because he knows that the baby prince would grow up to become a great spiritual teacher. Yet, when he started to realize that, because Asita is a very highly attained sage, he could see that he is going to die very soon. And therefore, he is crying or weeping because he would not have the opportunity to hear the Buddha's sublime Dhamma. So he realizes that this is not his opportunity to hear the Dhamma. All right. The reflection for us in this story is we might take it for granted that we have the opportunity to hear the Buddha's Dhamma. Yeah. We might take it for granted that it is very easy to hear the Buddha's Dhamma, especially in Malaysia. There are many Buddhist societies, there are many Buddhist centers. It is easy to, go to a Buddhist center and approach a Buddhist teacher to look at the suttas, to learn from great teachers and great monks and nuns. Yeah. But someone as highly attained as Asita, even he did not have that opportunity. So even more so, we need to appreciate the opportunity that we have to learn the Dhamma. All right. Okay, so a few days after that, there is the name giving ceremony. The 8 Brahmana priests, so the 8 Brahmins. So the king invited 8 Brahmins, or 8 Brahmana priests, the 8 Brahmins, to come and give the baby a name. So this is the name giving ceremony. They gave him the name Siddhartha, which means wish fulfilled. Among these 8 Brahmana priests, 7 of them raised 2 fingers, and they say he would either become a great king, a political leader, a universal emperor, or he would become a great spiritual leader. Except for the youngest among the Brahmana priests, the youngest among the Brahmins, his name is Kondanya. He raised only 1 finger, and he says, no, there's no 2 destinies for this baby prince. There's only one destiny. He is definitely going to become a great spiritual leader. He is definitely going to become the Buddha. So this is the name-giving ceremony. Either he would become a universal emperor, a world monarch, a sovereign ruler, or he would become a spiritual leader, a spiritual emancipator. The suttas use the word Ukkadharo Manusana. Manusa means humans or humanity. Ukkadharo, Ukka means the torch. Dhara means to carry or to bear, the torch bearer of humanity. So these are the 2 destinies that 7 of the Brahmana priests foresee for the baby prince. So this is something that we can also think about. If you are given a choice, if you are given an option, which would you want to be? Would you want to be a universal king or a universal spiritual leader? This is a good reflection for us. Okay. In past years, I usually ask the participants, like, do you have any thoughts on this? And if you want to share as well. So I'm not sure if anyone wants to share their thoughts or reflections on this question. Would you want to be a universal king or a spiritual leader? What would you be, a political leader or a spiritual leader? Okay, so let's take a minute to think about this question, and maybe some of you might have some thoughts and reflections. If you want to share, you can unmute yourself, or you can type your answer in the chat box. Yeah. Let's take a minute to think about this question. The question that is facing us, that is before us. Brother Zhihua said, maybe yes, if no need to work. Yeah, does anyone want to share? Sister Kwa, yeah.
Hi, brother Wei. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Yeah, thank you for coming to teach us, even though you are sick. And I offer my service if you need. I can help you to fill it because actually I'm teaching students now who are in prelim, and
Mm,
here in our group, Brother Ong Xian Ming is also another Dharma teacher. So don't worry, we are here to support you and assist you.
yes, thank you.
I really appreciate your slides. Um, I I would like to share for my personal experience. When I was young, I will probably want to be the universal king. Before I came to know the Dharma, and I probably want to be very successful and have lots of riches and power and popularity and all that because that was the world I was exposed to when I was young. My the people around me, my family, they will tell me to pray for success, and the teachers will tell us to study hard for success, more money, more. So that was where I was going, and then a few years ago, I had a car accident and almost died. So actually, dukkha is a very good teacher. Mm. So when you have a like shock, then you realize all these riches and all this power and all this thing is just nothing. When you face pain and suffering, you were I was never trained for that. So when I was exposed to the pain and suffering, I became very depressed. And the solution was Dharma. Then I learned the Dharma, and the Dharma really helped to comfort me and help me to pick myself up. And so now I really love the Dharma, and it's a very important part of my life. Yeah, thank you.
Sadhu, sadhu. Thank you so much, Sister Kwa. Yeah. So, yeah, Sister Kwa and maybe other Dhamma school teachers in the group or in the among the participants, feel free to jump in. And if you want to add anything or you want to share anything, feel free. Yeah. I'm not sure whether I'm missing out anything, but yeah, definitely. Thank you so much for the support. I appreciate it. Sister Kwa made it a very good point that the pursuit of the world is worldliness, right? So we think about popularity, we think about fame, we think about wealth and riches, we think about power. So that is the path of the world. And again, that's not it's not a bad thing to pursue all these things, right? If we want fame and wealth and fame and wealth and power, these are all good things. We can work hard for these things, but even more deeply than these things, even more deeply even more there's an even deeper pursuit, that is the pursuit of the Dhamma. And the pursuit of the Dhamma is non-worldly or unworldly. It transcends the world. And Sister Kwa made a very good point that sometimes when we have an intense encounter with dukkha, whether it's death or disease or similar experiences, whether in our own selves or in the maybe in the lives of other people, maybe our relatives, our families, yeah, our friends, then that intense encounter with dukkha could be a wake up call for us. It could help us realize that worldliness is such a empty pursuit, right? And there has to be something deeper in our pursuit of meaning and our pursuit of real joy and real happiness. Okay, good. Very good. Thank you so much, Sister Kwa. Thanks for the sharing. All right. Okay, so let's go on. Feel free again to jump in, anyone, if you need to jump in. Yeah. So this is the plowing festival after the name giving ceremony. We can see that the baby prince was sitting under this rose apple tree. This is the plowing festival day, and the king and the baby prince and his nurses went to the field to plow. The baby prince was placed on a couch under a rose apple tree. So as the nurses went away to see the ceremony, so this strange thing happened that this prince was sitting and meditating on the couch under the rose apple tree. So this was his meditation experience. The king was pleased with that, and he saluted the prince, and he says, "This dear child is my second salutation." So the prince grew up, and he was raised in a very good education, right? So he was trained in many important skills, right? So in this picture, this is archery, right? So he's trained in archery. He was trained in horse riding. Okay. So anyone learn archery here, or anyone learn horse riding? Yeah. So this is the very good education of the prince. He was educated in many of the important subjects, in the sciences and the arts, in the music, in the musical arts, all right, and also in these very important skills. And these are the skills of a warrior, right? So archery and horse riding, all right. Okay, so there's a brother. Brother Raul says archery for me. Wow, excellent. All right, so this is the education of the prince. So he grew up in a very sheltered environment. The father and mother provided everything for this prince as he grew up. And at the age of 16, the prince married his beautiful cousin, Princess Yasodhara. All right, so the prince showed his skill in the art of warfare to marry Princess Yasodhara. So there are many men who were trying to win her heart. Okay, and so this prince, he shows his skill, and then Princess Yasodhara was impressed, and therefore she chose him. Okay. Princess Yasodhara's mother was Pamita, King Suddhodana's sister, and her father was King Supabuddha. Her brother was Devadatta. So Princess Yasodhara is actually the cousin of Prince Siddhartha. Okay, the Kaludayi, the childhood friend of Prince Siddhartha, Channa, the charioteer, and Kantaka, the horse, were also 16 years old. So they were same age as Prince Siddhartha. All right, so the prince and princess, they live a very luxurious life, a life of luxury. So they had 3 places for 3 seasons. In the Markandeya Sutta, the Buddha was recalling his life in the past as he was still a prince in the palace. So he says he had 3 palaces for the rainy season, the Vasa season, one for the winter season, the Hemanta season, and one for the summer season, the Gimana season. Right? And he lived in the rain's palace for the 4 months of the rainy season, enjoying himself with musicians. All of the musicians were women musicians, and he did not go downstairs. So he was just enjoying himself during the rainy season. This is the life of luxury that he had. All the musicians could play music live for him. All right, some of us, when we want to go and watch a music concert, maybe some of us, we have our favorite singers or our favorite celebrities. We want to watch a concert, we want to buy the ticket. Sometimes it's very difficult, right? Sometimes the tickets are sold out. But here, the prince had any time he can ask for the singers and musicians to perform for him live. Right? This is his life of luxury. All right, so even when the prince and princess were living a life of luxury, he still had this curiosity about the outside world because he was very sheltered in his palace. He's very curious what is happening in the outside world, what is happening beyond the walls of the palace. So one day, the prince sneaked out of the palace on an adventure to find out what is outside the world, in the outside world. And this is when he had the famous 4 sights. I'm sure some of you also know the 4 sights already. Yeah. So the first thing he saw was an old man. Sorry, wait. An old man, right? Yeah. Yep, an old man. So the first thing he saw was an old man. And then The next one he saw is a sick man. And the third one he saw was a dead person. So they were carrying this dead body. And so for the Prince Siddhartha, this is a great shock. Just now, Sister Kwa was saying this shock. This shock as we have an intense encounter with dukkha. Prince Siddhartha was looking at dukkha in the face, and he was wondering, does everyone go through old age? Does everyone go through disease? Does everyone go through death? And his charioteer, Channa said, yes, everyone goes through old age and disease and death. There's no way to escape these things. But now the Prince Siddhartha is thinking, what is the way to solve these problems? What is the way to solve the problem of dukkha? And then he had his fourth sight. In this fourth sight, the prince saw a practitioner, a samana, a spiritual practitioner or a spiritual contemplative or a spiritual ascetic, a samana. And he was very struck by the peaceful countenance and the sublime countenance of this samana, of this practitioner, of this contemplative. And so he thought to himself, this must be the way to peace. This must be the way to solve the problem of dukkha. So he decided, I need to walk this path of the samana. At this point, there's a birth of a son to the prince. His son was born. The prince said, Rahu Jato, a fetter has arisen. So the king Suddhodana named his grandson Rahula after hearing this. On his way home, when the prince got home to the palace, a young lady named Kisa Gotami, he sees him and he says, Nibutta nuna sa mata, nibutto nuna so pita, nibutta nuna sa nari, yasayang I diso pati. Peaceful is the mother, peaceful is the father, peaceful is the wife who has such a husband as he. So this young lady saw his countenance and he was exclaiming how happy his family must be, how happy his father and mother and wife must be. So having heard that, this prince, he urged to seek peace and he sent his necklace as a present to Kisa Gotami. So after seeing the four sights, the prince decided to walk the path of a samana. At the age of 29, in the silence of the night, Prince Siddhartha mounted Kantaka, the horse. Accompanied by Channa, he left the palace and the city of Kapilavatthu. He left with Channa, his charioteer, and he rode into the dark on his favorite horse, Kantaka. He went far and crossed the river Anoma. He removed his garments and handed them to Channa to take those back to the palace. Although Channa wanted to join him, but Prince Siddhartha said no, he did not allow him to do so. Right, so after seeing the four sights, the prince decided to renounce. This is called the Great Renunciation. The horse was too sad because the Prince Siddhartha left. So the horse was too sad, and he died out of grief and was born in Tavatimsa heaven. The prince shaved his hair and beard with his sword and wearing yellow robes. His former friend Gatikara Mahabrahma gave him the robes. He received the 8 requisites of a monk, and then he was no longer a prince. Now he is called the Bodhisatta. The Bodhisatta. Bodhi means enlightenment. Satta means being. So this is a being who is in pursuit of enlightenment, or a being who is in pursuit of wisdom. King Bimbisara offered Bodhisatta his kingdom, but the Bodhisatta refused. The king was pleased to hear this and invited the Bodhisatta to visit his kingdom first after his Buddhahood. So King Bimbisara says, I'm going to give you my kingdom, but the Bodhisatta said no. And then King Bimbisara said, okay, fine, once you become the Buddha, once you attain Buddhahood, please come and visit my kingdom first. So during his journey towards enlightenment, there are 5 companions who joined the Bodhisatta or joined the Samana Gautama. These five companions, their names are Kondanya, Baddiya, Vapa, Mahanama, Asaji. So if you guys can remember, Kondanya is the name of the young Brahmin who first predicted that this baby prince would become a Buddha in the future. So he joined the Samana Gotama. And these 5 of them, this one you must know of for the exam, the names. Kondanya, Badiya, Vapa, Mahanama, Asaji. These 5 companions joined the Prince Siddhartha or joined the Bodhisatta Gotama in his practice, in his journey. So, firstly, the Samana Gotama went to learn from some of the best teachers of his time. So in India at that time, there were many great teachers and great spiritual meditators and great spiritual practitioners. And so Samana Gotama went to some of the best of them to learn, right? So if you want to reach enlightenment, you should learn from the best. Yeah. So the first teacher he learned from is Alara Kalama. And Alara Kalama taught him to attain Akinchanyayatana. This is the dimension or the sphere of nothingness. Akinchanya means nothingness. All right. He realized that this gives him a lot of happiness, a lot of meditative bliss. This is the formless realm, okay, the formless meditation. However, it still did not lead him to the final nibbana. It still did not lead him to the final goal of the end of all suffering. So he said, no, let me leave this teacher and let me leave this Dhamma by Alara Kalama, and let me go to another teacher and to embrace another Dhamma, another path. So then Samana Gotama went to Uddaka Ramaputta. And under the training of Uddaka Ramaputta, he attained the dimension of Neva Sanya Na Sanya Yatana. Okay, Sanya means perception. Asanya means non-perception. Neva Sanya Na Asanya means neither perception nor non-perception. So this is an even more refined, even more higher and more blissful state of formless meditation. Although he could master this formless meditation, this formless ayatana, even then the Samana Gotama realized that this is still not the path to the end of suffering. This is still not the path to the final nibbana. And therefore he once again left the path of Uddaka Ramaputta and he go to find another path. All right. Okay, so another path that the Samana Gotama embarked upon is the path of self-torture or the path of self-mortification. Right. So along with him, the five companions also joined him in practicing this path of self-mortification. So they practiced many practices, such as they held their breath, they stopped breathing for a long time. Another one is they eat very little a day. Sometimes they just eat 1 grain of rice a day, right? So they eat very little a day. They held their breath for a long time. So they undertook all these practices to torture their own body, okay? Because they believe that when you torture your own body, you can burn away the old bad karmas, okay? Therefore, like, this is the way, right? I need to burn away all the past bad karma so that I need to torture myself, all right? Okay. So the Samana Gotama, along with the other 5 companions, was struggling towards enlightenment until they all reached the brink of death. So he practiced holding his breath and extreme fasting. He became so thin and frail that he was on the verge of death. Yeah. Then this is the point of this is the turning point for the Samana Gotama. Again, he realized that even though I have tortured my body, even though I have experienced such intense pain and suffering in my body, still I have not attained any knowledge and vision. I have not attained any higher knowledge and vision that will help me to attain the highest happiness, that will help me to attain the end of suffering. So the Samana Gotama thought there must be another way. Okay, so this is when he decided to again abandon the path of self-mortification, and he decided to walk a path of what we call the middle way or the middle path. In this way, the Bodhisatta decided not to neglect his bodily health or his physical health, and he started to nurture his body once again. Now, this is very important. This is his turning point from death to life. A lady called Lady Sujata made an offering of milk rice to the Bodhisatta Gautama. All right, so this is very important. So Lady Sujata, this is the gift of life to the Bodhisatta Gautama. Now the five companions saw that the Bodhisatta Gautama had started to take solid food and to nurture his body again. So the five companions feel very betrayed. To them, they realize they think that the Bodhisatta Gautama has given up on the spiritual path. He has reverted to a life of luxury. And so the five companions became very disappointed in the Bodhisatta Gautama, and they also walked away from him. He has given up, there is no more hope for him. So the five companions were very disappointed and they walked away from him. Okay, so they have left the Bodhisatta Gautama alone. So now the Bodhisatta is alone. He is free to practice on his own and to find his own way or to find his own path. So this is the practice called Majjhima Patipada, or the middle path. Majjhima means the middle, and Patipada means the path or the way. So, or the practice. So this is the middle path or the middle path of practice. So this middle path avoids two extremes. All right. The first extreme is Kama Sukha Lika Nuyogo. So let me explain that. Kama means sensuality. The word kama means sensuality. Sukha Lika means pleasures. So sensual pleasures. Anu Yoga means Anu Yoga. Anu Yoga means devotion. So the devotion to sensual pleasures. This is one extreme that he avoids. Another extreme is Atta Kilamata Nu Yogo. So Atta means self, Kilamata means mortification. So this is the devotion to self-mortification. And also this extreme is avoided. So the middle path or the Majjhima Patipada is called the middle path because it avoids the two extremes of devotion to sensuality and devotion to self-mortification. All right, so now the Bodhisatta is alone in the place called Buddha Gaya. And under the Bodhi Tree, the Bodhisatta made the determination. Gladly let only skin, sinews, and bones remain. Let the flesh and blood in this body wither away. As long as whatever is possible by human strength, by human vigor, by human endeavor has not been attained, there will be no end in my effort. So this is a great determination by the Bodhisatta. This one we can also learn from the Bodhisatta. Yeah, the Bodhisatta says, "Kamang tacho cha naharu cha ati cha avasisatu." Gladly let only skin, sinews, and bones remain. Let the flesh and blood in this body wither away. As long as I have not yet attained the full enlightenment, I will sit and meditate until I attain whatever is possible by human strength, human vigor, and human endeavor. Until I attain the full potential of my humanity, I will not end my effort. I will not stop the course of my effort. All right, so this is a good quality for us to learn from as well. Maybe one day you can also sit down and have this relentless, apativana, have this relentless determination. You can say, I will not get up until I finish 2 sets of past year papers or even more. All right, so this is your strong determination, all right, for your past year practice, okay, past year papers. All right. Now, as the Bodhisatta was meditating and was striving towards enlightenment, the great Mara, the evil heavenly being, sitting on the elephant called Giri Mekhala, was trying to distract the Buddha, distract the Bodhisatta and disturb the Bodhisatta. So they start to, so Mara and his armies start to attack the Bodhisatta. So Mara says, "You are so thin and pale, you must be nearly dead. It would be far better to live. The path of exertion is hard to follow, hard to sustain." So Mara even promises the Bodhisatta, if you go back to being a king and to go back to lay life, I will promise you all the kingdoms of the world. Within 7 days, I will give you all the kingdoms of the world. Yeah, so this is the promise of Mara, and he did all he could to disturb the Bodhisatta. So this is also a very good reflection for all of us. If Mara comes to us, what would he offer to us in order to stop the practice of the Dhamma? Is it possible? If Mara comes to you one day and says, "Okay, stop being a Dhamma school teacher. I will offer you this amount of wealth or this amount of popularity. Or stop learning the Dhamma, stop meditating, I will give you this much." Would we be tempted? Would we be distracted or disturbed by Mara? So this is a good reflection for all of us. The Samana Gotama, or the contemplative Gotama, responded to Mara, "I have faith, energy, and wisdom. I see your armies, I see your troops all around me, Mara, but I will proceed with the fight." All right, so Mara continues to attack the Bodhisatta, blur his vision, darken his understanding. He must not attain his goal of freedom. And then the Bodhisatta responded, "Even if the whole world cannot defeat your army, I will destroy it with the power of wisdom, just as a clay pot is smashed by a stone." So the Bodhisatta says, "I will use wisdom to smash your army, to defeat your army." So these are the 10 armies of Mara: sensual desires, discontent, hunger, craving, apathy, terror, doubt, hypocrisy, pride, and conceit. And this is a promise of the Bodhisatta. He says, "From land to land I shall wander, training disciples far and wide." So this is a promise of the Bodhisatta, and today we can see it fulfilled, right? Today we can see it come true. The teachings of the Buddha have gone from land to land, from country to country, and the disciples of the Buddha are far and wide in every country, in all the places of the world, in all the corners of the world. All right. So this is a promise of the Bodhisatta, and we want to continue this promise and this mission of the Bodhisatta. So Mara issued a challenge to the Bodhisatta: "I am greater than you. Who will speak for you? Who will bear witness for you?" So the Bodhisatta Gautama calls upon the earth, and the earth roars, "I bear you witness." So the earth bears witness to the many, many lives of practice of the Bodhisatta. The Bodhisatta has been continuing with this path of practice for many, many lives, and the earth knows the practice of the Bodhisatta, and therefore the earth bears witness to the Bodhisatta's practice. All right, and therefore, even though with all these armies of Mara, the Bodhisatta still emerged victorious. And so this is the Jaya Mangala Gatha. Some of you might have already heard of it. So it goes like this: Bahum sahasmabhinim mitasayudhantang girimekhalang udita ghora sasena marang danadi dhamma vidhina jitva munindo tang tejasa bhavatu te jaya mangalani. So this is a gatha that is chanted on auspicious events, sometimes on birthdays, during weddings, and so on. Right? Jaya means success or victory. Right? Jaya. Mangala means blessing. So this is the blessing of victory or the blessing of success. So this first verse is talking about the story of the Bodhisatta defeating the army of Mara. Right? So Mara was mounted on Giri Mekala, the elephant, holding weapons, and then the sovereign lord conquered with the might of the Dhamma. All right, the Muni, the sage, conquered him with the power of the Dhamma. Tang tejasa bhavatu te jaya mangalani. By the power of this truth, may you be blessed with joyous victory. All right, so this is there are many more verses in this Jaya Mangala Gatha. Some of you might know a few more verses, yeah. Some of you have already heard of it before. Okay. Under the Bodhi tree, as the Bodhisatta Gautama defeated the armies of Mara, as he touched the earth to bear him witness, he started to develop this threefold knowledge. Te vidya. Vidya means knowledge or insight. Vidya. Te means three. So the threefold knowledge or the threefold insight. As the Bodhisatta Gautama was defeating Mara, he started to develop and cultivate the Te Vidya, the threefold knowledge. The first one is Pubbe Nivasa Nusati, remembering former abodes. So this is recollecting his own past lives. Secondly is Dibba Chaku. Dibba Chaku. Chaku means eye, the eye. So the divine eye. He could see the death and the rebirth of other beings and other creatures. So he knows the karmic destinations of the living creatures. And the final knowledge that he attained is Asava Kaya. Kaya means destruction or end. The end of Asava or the destruction of Asava. Eradication or extinction or extinguishment of asava. Asava means the impurities of the mind or impurities of the heart. So these are the threefold knowledge that the Bodhisatta discovered. All right. So in the first watch of the night, he recalled his own past lives. In the second watch of the night, he observed the birth, death, and rebirth of living beings. And in the third watch of the night, he cultivated dispassion, liberation, knowledge and vision, the understanding of the Four Noble Truths, Nibbana, and the extinguishment of the asavas. And with this third watch of the night, with the knowledge of the Four Noble Truths, he becomes a Buddha. He becomes the Supreme Buddha. He becomes the Samma Sambuddha, the supremely awakened Buddha. All right. So this is the complete journey of him from his birth to enlightenment. When he sees the Four Noble Truths, he becomes the Samma Sambuddha. The Bodhisatta gained his enlightenment on the Vesak full moon day of May in his 35th year. He was named the Buddha Gautama. All can become Buddhas, and there were many Buddhas in the past, and there will be many Buddhas in the future. So Buddha Gautama is our present Buddha, the current Buddha. But before Buddha Gautama in the past, there were also other Buddhas, other Samma Sambuddhas. And also the next Buddha after Buddha Gautama will be Buddha MYTTA. All right. Okay, so this is the end of the syllabus for preliminary stage, the life of Buddha until enlightenment. So for the junior stage is birth to enlightenment and also to Mahaparinibbana. That one will cover it next week. Okay, next week I will go to that one. All right, good. So now let's go to the Dhamma syllabus. Okay, so let me pause here for now. I will take a short break. And I don't know if anyone wants to add anything or share any reflections so far. Yeah, if you want to share any reflections or you want to add anything, if I missed out anything, feel free to add on to any of the slides. Yeah. Okay, let me stop here. I'll take 2 minutes break for me to, yeah. Okay. Okay, let me take 2 minutes break. I'll go get a drink. All right. When I come back, anyone can feel free to share. Okay, yeah.
Think of the world, of the earth, of the stars in the dark, being alive. Just being here with you is a blessing to me. It's a miracle. With the knowledge of knowing of what has been done for us, seeing the things the love people gave to us, living the life that we have right now. There are lessons for us to learn and discover through the difficulties and hardships that we face. So, blessings in the air. And I say, hey, my friend, just look around. There's more than you can see. Oh, God's on your side. Many things I'm grateful for in my life. Think of the love that you have all around in your life. It's irreplaceable. All through the years, what made you strong, made you fall
All right.
yeah. They built who you are.
So Brother Ong Zen Yu in the Zoom chat, he says, I always remember the name of Buddha's horse, Kantaka, for even an animal knows and understands the great sacrifice Prince Siddhartha is making to find the truth during that time. Yeah. Excellent. Thanks for sharing. All right. Anyone else wants to share or add? Yeah. You want to add anything or you want to share any reflections so far? If not, we can go on to the Dhamma. Or else we can, yeah. Yeah, okay, good. So far, so good. Anyone wants to share anything? No? Okay, good. So far, so good, huh? All right, excellent. Let's continue. Okay, so we've covered the preliminary stage for the life of the Buddha. Now let's go to the Dhamma syllabus. All right. The Dhamma syllabus for preliminary stage, you need to know three things: the Tisarana, the threefold refuge, and the Pancha Sila, the 5 precepts, and the Dasa Kusala Kamma, the 10 skillful actions or the 10 wholesome actions. So let's go through them. So for the junior stage, you need to know these three things and also additional things. All right, good. So let's look at preliminary stage. Tisarana. The word sarana means refuge or shelter. This is the word sarana. Sarana carries the meaning of refuge and shelter because of the danger of this life of samsara. When we say that we go for refuge, we go to the triple gem for refuge, we need to understand what are we seeking protection from? What are we seeking shelter from? What are we seeking refuge from? The answer is we are seeking sarana, we are seeking protection and shelter and refuge from the dangers of samsara. The dangers of samsara. What are the dangers of samsara? Old age, sickness, death. All right. Also, the evil actions that will bring us down to the lower realms of rebirth. These are the dangers of samsara. And when we go for refuge, when we go for protection, we are hoping to protect ourselves from these dangers. Now, there are three refuges, or the threefold refuge, called the Tisarana: the Buddha, the Dhamma, and the Sangha. These are the threefold refuge for a Buddhist. A person who goes to the Buddha and the Dhamma and the Sangha for refuge is a Buddhist. Why do we go for refuge to the Buddha? Because the Buddha is the one who has attained the way out of suffering, the one who has attained the ultimate end of all suffering, and he shows us the way. That's the reason we go to the Buddha for refuge. Why do we go to the Dhamma for refuge? Because the Dhamma is the teachings of the Buddha. The Dhamma is the message of the Buddha. The Dhamma gives us the ways and the principles on how to cultivate ourselves, how to cultivate our heart and mind, how to walk the path of Dhamma until we ourselves also attain final liberation. That is why we go to the Dhamma for refuge. And finally, why do we go to the Sangha for refuge? The Sangha is the disciples of the Buddha. There are two types of Sangha. One is the Arya Sangha. Arya Sangha means the noble Sangha, which means all the disciples of the Buddha who have attained at least the first stage of enlightenment, called Sotapanna, right? So Sotapanna, Sakadagami, Anagami, and Arahanta. These four stages are the stages of enlightenment. And the Arya Sangha, the noble ones, are the disciples of the Buddha who have attained any of these stages. Right? Sotapanna, Sakadagami, Anagami, Arahanta. All right. Another type of Sangha is the Samuti Sangha, or the Ubato Sangha. Means the dual Sangha. The dual Sangha means the Bhikkhu and Bhikkhuni Sangha. The Sangha is the community of monks and nuns who are the disciples of the Buddha who have become a monastic, who have renounced the lay life or renounced the householder life and become a Bhikkhu or Bhikkhuni under the Buddha. So this is called the Ubato Sangha, the Bhikkhu Sangha and Bhikkhuni Sangha. Right, so why do we go for refuge to the Sangha? Because the noble Sangha, the noble disciples, show us an example of how to walk the path and how they can also verify the teachings of the Buddha, how they can verify the truth of the Buddha's teachings. And the monks and nuns, the bhikkhus and bhikkhunis, we go to them for refuge because they are the ones who preserve the teachings of the Buddha for us. They have preserved the Dhamma for us from generation to generation until today. Right, so that's why we go to the Sangha for refuge. All right. Okay, so there are many ways for us to honor the Buddha, Dhamma, and Sangha. All right. How do we honor the Buddha, Dhamma, and Sangha? So there are many ways, right? How do we worship the Lord? Sometimes we can worship with offering of flowers, offering of water, offering of incense, offering of fruits. So this is one way to honor the Buddha. So if you go for the puja service in your Buddhist temple or your Buddhist center, you offer, right? You offer flowers or you offer water and fruits. That is one way to honor the Buddha. Now, another way is Buddhist hymns. Sometimes we see some people singing Buddhist hymns to honor the Buddha or to worship the Lord. This is also another way, offering of devotional hymns, devotional music, to praise the Buddha and to remember the Buddha's virtues. It's another way, right? So there are many different ways to honor the Buddha. Offering food, donating money. Very good, yeah. So donating money, you donate to the temple, okay. And then offer food as well, yeah. But the Buddha says in the Mahaparinibbana Sutta, all of these ways, whether it's offering food and offering flowers and water, these are not the highest extent. These are not the highest honor to the Buddha. These are not the highest extent of our worship and our respect to the Buddha. The Buddha says there is a paramaya pujaya. Puja means honor or reverence or homage. Paramaya pujaya means the highest honor or the highest homage or the highest worship, the highest reverence. There is a highest reference. There is a highest homage. The Buddha says the highest homage is Dhammanu Dhamma Patipano Viharati Samichi Patipano Anu Dhammachari. The one who dwells, Viharati means dwells or lives. Dhammanu Dhamma Patipano. Patipano means to practice the Dhamma in accordance with the Dhamma. Samichi Patipano means well practicing, correct in their practice. Anu Dhammachari, living in accordance and living in conformity with the Dhamma. Dwells practicing the Dhamma in accordance with the Dhamma, correct in their practice, living in conformity with the Dhamma. The Buddha says one who does this is offering the Paramaya Pujaya, offering the highest honor and the highest homage to the Buddha. All right, so the best way to worship and honor the Buddha is to practice the Dhamma. Yeah. So how do we practice the Dhamma? The path of Dhamma is Sila, Samadhi, Panya. Sila means integrity or morality or virtue. This is what Sila means. It is the moral compass and the voice of conscience in our heart. It is the ethical behavior, that how we behave. The most important or the most basic formulation of Sila is the 5 precepts. This is the minimum Sila for all lay people, right? So this is what we call Sila. Sila means integrity or virtue or morality. Okay, our behavioral conduct, how we act. A harmony between the self and the society, and alignment between the self and universal moral principles. The next, Sila, Samadhi, Panya, the next part is Samadhi. Samadhi means mental cultivation, the cultivation of the heart. Composure. It is not easy to translate this word Samadhi, so you can translate it as composure, mental stability, the unification and stillness of the heart, lucidity, clarity, luminosity, sharpening the mind, indistractable, unscattered. So the mind that is cultivating Samadhi is indistractable. You are not bothered by distractions. You're unscattered. Your mind is unified. Your mind is still. Your mind is not scattered around. Your mind is not all over the place. This is Samadhi, mental cultivation. And finally, the final stage is Panya or wisdom or understanding. This is the breakthrough understanding of the nature of reality, Panya. So a related word is Ditti, a view of life, right? So in Mandarin, we sometimes say the word 三观, 价值观, 人生观, 世界观. 价值观 is our inner values. 人生观 is our view of life, right? A view of humanity. And then 世界观 is our worldview. All right, so this is Panya, when we have a solid and a sound perspective and paradigm of life. This is Panya. All right, so Sila is integrity, virtue, moral discipline. That's why I use the image of a compass here, right? A moral compass here. Samadhi is composure, stillness, mental cultivation. Okay, the cultivation of the heart. And Panya, wisdom, understanding, discernment. Okay. All right, now, okay, so these are the Punya, Kiriya, Vatu, the 3 grounds of meritoriousness or righteousness. The word Kiriya is actions, Kiriya, our actions. Vatu means the ground, okay, or the ground or the basis. Punya is righteousness or meritoriousness. So when we say the word merit, we usually refer to this word punya, wholesomeness or righteousness, or meritoriousness. So there are three basic bases or three basic grounds of meritoriousness. The first is dana, second sila, third is bhavana. Dana means our giving. Dana means our generosity, magnanimity, liberality. Right? So our charity, that's dana. Sila. Sila means our practice of morality, our practice of virtue and ethical conduct. And finally, bhavana means mental culture or mental cultivation. Okay. Dana, sila, bhavana. Okay. So this is the punya kiriya vatu. The punya kiriya vatu is expanded into 10. So dana, sila, bhavana. In addition to that, you also have apachayana, vayavacha, patidana, patanumodana, dhamma savana, dhamma desana, and ditiju kama. So these are the 10 skillful actions. Dasa, kusala, kama. Kama means actions. Kusala means skillful or wholesome. And dasa means 10. All right, so the three punya kiriya vatu, the three grounds of meritoriousness, they are expanded into 10. Okay, so let's go through the 10. Dana is giving, sila is virtue, bhavana is mental culture or mental cultivation. Apachayana means respect or honor, honoring those who are worthy of honor, respecting those who are worthy of respect. Vayavacha means service, to do our duties, to do our service to others, to help others. All right. Patidana means to share our merits or to give our merits. All right. So when we perform good actions, these goodness has power. Right? Goodness has power. And so when we have good actions, we want to share the power of these goodness, these good actions with other beings as well. So this is patidana. And next one is patanumodana. Anumodana means to rejoice. Anumodana means to rejoice. Patanumodana means to rejoice in others' meritoriousness. So when other people share the goodness with us, then we also rejoice in their good actions, in their goodness. Then this is also a good action. All right. The last three is Dhamma Savana. Dhamma Savana is listening to Dhamma. Dhamma Desana is teaching Dhamma or giving Dhamma teaching. And Ditiju Kama. Ditiju Kama is straightening your views. Diti means your views. Uju means to straighten or to make it upright. Kama means action. All right. So this is to straighten our views or to make our views upright, to straighten our views. This is Ditiju Kama. Okay. All right. So there's another meaning of the word dasa akusala kama. So depending on which sutta you are looking at, dasa kusala kama has another meaning. So this is the sutta called Salayaka Sutta. In this sutta, the Buddha lays out the 10 kinds of unwholesome conduct. The 10 kinds of unwholesome conduct. These are the 10 acts of akusala, unskillful actions. The first three is action, bodily action. The next four, they are verbal action. And the last three, they are mental action. Okay. So killing, taking what is not given, sensual misconduct. False speech, divisive speech, abusive speech, frivolous speech. Covetousness or avarice. Malice or ill will. Wrong view or unsound perspective. Yeah. So the 10 kusala kama, the 10 skillful actions, would be the opposite of these 10 unskillful actions. So not killing, not taking what is not given, and so on, and not having wrong view. So these are the 10 kusala kama, the 10 skillful actions. So this is another meaning for Dasa Kusala Karma. All right, so the next thing we should look at is the Panchasila, or sometimes we call it Pancha Sikkhapada. Pancha means 5. Sikkhapada is the training rules or the training principles. All right, so these are the 5 virtues or the Panchasila. Panati pata veramani sikkhapadang samadhiyami. Panati pana means to strike down, to kill a living being. Adinadana means taking what is not given or stealing. Okay. Kamesu michachara. Kamesu means sensual or sexual. Micha means wrong. And then chara means way or conduct. So wrong way of sexuality or sexual misconduct. Okay, so this is Kamesu michachara. Musavada means false speech. And finally, Sura, Meraya, Majja, Pamada, Thanam. So Sura, Meraya, and Majja, they are types of liquor or types of alcohol. And then Pamada, Thana. Thana means basis or, yeah, a basis. And then Pamada means heedlessness or intoxication. So any alcohol or anything that forms a basis for intoxication or heedlessness, we refrain from it, we avoid that. This is the 5th precept. That's why there's a very important word. Pamada means intoxication or heedlessness. There's a very important word in the Buddha's teaching. It's called appamada, means non-heedlessness or heedfulness, non-intoxication, vigilance or diligence. Okay, so this is the word appamada. All right. Okay, so that is the Dhamma for the preliminary stage. Now we can look into Dhamma for the junior stage, the Dhamma syllabus. All right. Okay, let me stop here for a bit. Okay, let me take a break. And does anyone want to add anything or share any reflections? I'm going to take a break. I'm going to take a break, a short break. 2 minutes break. Okay, give me 2 minutes. I'm going to get some water.
Oh, my friend, have you heard about the wheel of life? How we all go round and round if we don't break free from it. Oh, my friend, do you know about the sufferings when your heart aches and breaks, when your mind's unsatisfied? And if we live life mindlessly, unaware of the things we do, unfulfilled with the love we have, then be assured with what I have to say. I fear that we will live on in samsara if we hold on to all our desires, delusion and hatred that keeps burning within, that keeps burning within.
So, okay, so apologies, I'm a bit unwell. Okay. Yeah, so anyone wants to add anything? Sister Kwa, I'm not sure if you want to add anything or share anything.
Yeah, brother, we can. I think sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. The slides and the content is excellent. I have nothing much to share. I think carry on, and I'm really enjoying the class and the session. Thank you very much.
All right, excellent. Thank you. Okay, let's go on to the junior stage, Dhamma syllabus. All right. Yes.
I think if they are paying attention to Brother Wei Can, all the students here will get distinction for prelim and junior.
Hopefully.
The notes are excellent, and the content really you give them more than enough. Yeah.
That's great. That's great.
I really like this. I really like the slides, and the way you presented it is very interesting.
Sadhu, sadhu. Thank you. All right. So let's carry on. Okay. So for the preliminary stage, we need to know Tisarana, Panchasila, and Dasa Kusala Karma. So this is the preliminary stage. For junior stage, the Dhamma syllabus, you need to know a few more. Okay, so Atangika Sila, Dasa Parami, Chattari, Arya Sachani, Mangala Sutta. Okay, so this is the syllabus. So let's talk about Atangika Sila. Now, in the 5 training principles, we look at no killing, no taking what is not given, no sexual misconduct, no false speech, and no intoxicants. All right. So this is a more intensified, the 8 precepts, Atangika Sila. Atangika means 8. Yeah. Atangika means 8. So the 8 precepts is a more intensified practice of virtue of Sila. And usually, 8 precepts usually we practice during meditation retreats. So some of you might have been to meditation retreats before. Okay. So that's one example, right? Meditation retreat. The reason why we usually undertake the 8 precepts during meditation retreats is because we want to quiet our senses more. We want to quiet our 5 senses more so that we have a greater cultivation of samadhi. Okay, so we want to quiet our senses. So that is one example of taking the 8 precepts during meditation retreats. Another example of another occasion where people take the 8 precepts are the Uposatha days. So when there is a new moon or the full moon, these are the Uposatha days, and some lay people decide to take on the Atangika Sila on these specific days, on these Uposatha days. Again, also to quiet their senses more, also to devote their time and attention more to the Dhamma, and also to imitate the Arahants, to imitate the pure ones, the perfected ones, the Arahants. So the first precept, second precept, same as the 5 precepts. I undertake the training principle to refrain from destroying life. I undertake the training principle to refrain from taking that which is not given. Okay, so the first 2 precepts are the same. And then the 3rd and 4th precept are also the same as the 5 precepts. I undertake the training principle to refrain from false speech. I undertake the training principle to refrain from intoxicants. Okay, so these 1st, 2nd, 4th, and 5th, the precepts in 8 precepts are the same as the 5 precepts. Now, the third precept is changing. The third precept is, in the 5 precepts, the third precept is kamesu michachara. Here, it is changing to abrahmacharya. Brahmacharya means celibacy. Abrahmacharya means non-celibacy. So refrain from non-celibacy. Okay. Okay, now, the precept number 6, Vikala bhojana veramani sikhapadak samadhiyami. Vikala bhojana. Bhojana means food. Vikala. Kala means time. So vikala means the improper time. So taking solid food at the improper time. So usually this means after the noon time, but this is the solar noon. So in Malaysia, the solar noon is around 1 p.m. or 1 something p.m. at this moment, at this time. So you can eat before 1 something p.m., before the solar noon time. Okay, so that one is Vikala Bhojana. This is easier as well because in the 8 precepts, nobody has dinner, right? So it also helps for Buddhist centers to no need to prepare dinner for everyone. So that's helpful. Okay, the next one is a long one. Actually, this number 7 is a combination of 2 precepts. All right. So the first one is Nacha Gita Vadita Visu Kadasana. Okay. All right. So this one. So is undertake the training principle to refrain from dancing, singing, music, and entertainment. So this one. And then another one is Mala Ganda Vile Pana Dharana Mandana. Wearing garlands, perfumes, cosmetics, and jewelry. Vibhu Sanatana. Okay. Mala, Gandha, Vilepana, Dharana, Mandana, Vibhu Sanatana. So this is another precept. So we combine these 2 precepts into the 7th precept. All right. So undertake the training principle to refrain from dancing, singing, music, and entertainment, from wearing garlands, perfumes, cosmetics, and jewelry. All right. And the last one of the 8 precept is Ucha Sayana, Maha Sayana. Okay. So Ucha Sayana means high beds. Mahasayana means luxury beds and seats. So I undertake the training principle to refrain from using high or luxury beds and seats. Okay, Ucha Sayana, Mahasayana. So by practicing the 8 precepts, we can quieten our senses a bit more. So we eat less, and also we live a more simple life. We don't sleep in high beds or luxury beds. We also keep our senses simple, right? So no dancing and singing and entertainment. And then no perfumes and cosmetics and jewelry, no beautification. So we keep our life simple, we keep our senses quieter, and then we have more time for the cultivation of samadhi. Right, so this is the 8th precept. Okay, next one is a dasa parami. So the parami means perfection. So we have dasa parami, the 10 perfections. Now, this is the Pali. If you can remember it, you can try to remember. Dana, Sila, Nekama, Panya, Viriya, Kanti, Satcha, Adhitthana, Metta, Upeka. This is the Pali. Or another way to remember is Gurviddo. This is my way of remembering it. Of course, it's up to you how you want to remember it. Gurviddo is another way of using English to remember it. This is how I remember it, the order of the 10 perfections. So, Dana, Sila, the 10 perfections, Dasa Parami. Dana, Sila, Nekama, Panya, Viriya, Kanti, Satcha, Adhitthana, Metta, Upeka. Okay. All right. So I use the word Gurviddo. All right. Giving, integrity, renunciation, wisdom, endeavor or effort, endurance or patience, and then T is truth or truthfulness. D is determination. L is love or loving kindness, metta, and then the last E is equanimity, upeka. Okay, so these are the 10 perfections. So what are the 10 perfections? So this one you have to memorize are all 10. Must memorize. So this is one way you can memorize it. Depending on how you want to use to memorize it. The 10 perfections are the qualities and the virtues of anyone who wants to practice towards enlightenment. In particular, the Bodhisatta has to practice the perfections over many, many lives until his last life as a Sama Sambuddha. Similarly, for all of us who want to practice towards final Nibbana, we need to cultivate the paramis as well for many, many lives, the perfections for many, many lives. Okay, so this is the 10 perfections. Okay, any questions so far? Can you remember the 10 perfections? All right. Okay, now we go to the Four Noble Truths. The Four Noble Truths is Chattari Ariya Sachani. Chattari means four. Ariya means noble. Sachani means truths. Chattari Ariya Sachani. So the first noble truth is dukkha, the reality of suffering, the reality of pain, the reality of unsatisfactoriness. The second is samudaya, the arising of dukkha, the origin of suffering, the cause of suffering. The third one, the word is nirodha. Nirodha means to fade away or to cease. So the cessation of this dukkha or the cessation of this craving. All right. So samudaya, the origin of suffering is craving or grasping or this thirst called tanha. So when we have nirodha, nirodha is the cessation of this tanha, of this grasping, of this craving. And finally, the word magga means the path or the way. The fourth noble truth is the way to the end of suffering. Is the way leading to the attainment of nibbana. Is the way leading to the final end of suffering, to the final nirodha. That is magga. All right. So we can use a medical framework for this. Some of you are doctors, I think. So in a medical framework, let's say you go to you go to a doctor. The doctor would do a diagnosis. They will look at your disease. They will look at your symptoms. They will do a diagnosis. And then secondly, they will do an etiology. Etiology means the study of the cause, the study of the cause of that disease. And finally, a prognosis. A prognosis is investigation in the outcome of this medical case. And finally, the doctor would give you a prescription, course of treatment, the medicine to heal you of your disease. So the Four Noble Truths are like this medical structure. First is dukkha, diagnosis. The Buddha diagnoses our dukkha, our symptoms, our suffering. And then the Buddha gives an etiology. What is the cause? What is the origin of our suffering? And finally, next, the Buddha gives us a prognosis. The outcome of this medical case is that we would attain the cessation of craving and a cessation of suffering. And finally, the prescription. The Buddha would give a prescription, would give the medicine to us, which is the Noble Eightfold Path, the path that leads to the end of suffering. That's the prescription. Okay, so this is a medical framework or a medical structure of the Four Noble Truths. Okay, all right. Now, let's talk about the fourth Noble Truth, which is the Noble Eightfold Path. There are two ways to remember it if you want my suggestion. But again, you can use your own way to memorize it. So I use this way lah. Up to you. Up to you. So you can remember it as Visalams or Salem cut. But this UT you must bring in front. This UT you must bring in front. This is just a way to remember the Four Noble, the Noble Eightfold Path, the 8 path factors of the Noble Eightfold Path. All right. So it's not so okay. So the UT you bring in front, so becomes understanding, thought, right understanding, right thought, and then right speech, right action, right livelihood, right effort, right mindfulness, right composure. Or another word you might see is right concentration. Okay. In fact, in the textbooks, usually you see the word concentration. I just prefer the word composure as a translation for the word samadhi. So another one way you can remember is Visalams. So right view, right intention, right speech, right action, right livelihood, right effort, right mindfulness, and right samadhi. Or another translation is right stillness. So Visalem, Visalams, or Salem cut Salemcut. Okay. So I repeat, sometimes samadhi is a very tricky word to translate. You see the word, my preferred translation is composure, but sometimes in the textbook you see the word concentration, right? And then some other translations you will see the word mental stability or unification of mind or stillness, okay, samadhi. So these are different translations, so it's more important to understand the meaning of it more than getting the right English word as a translation. Okay, I think today will end a little early because I'm running out of energy. Okay, so no worries, we can get a photo if you want to, a group photo, and then it's question time. Any questions or anything to add? Any reflections to add? Okay, Sister Khor.
Yeah, if you're interested, I will probably send to Hua. I cannot pronounce his name as elegant as you because I have a banana. I was telling Hua, I really like the way you pronounce his name. He sounds so elegant. I just want to share with you how I teach my students to memorize. I told them that I really like to honor the Pali words, because the Pali word, for me, one word has so much meaning, and as we practice more, the meaning become more and more deep for us. And this is my personal opinion, the English translation is helpful. It brings you in to understand. But sometimes when you are stuck with the translation, as you practice more and more, like for example, when you first started, you learn concentration. But as you practice more and more, then there are more words that come in and have more meaning to you. So I'm hoping that all my students will practice Dhamma whole life until they are old, for the rest of their life. So they will start to meditate, they will start to read the sutta and the sutras, and then they'll understand more. Then they will, so I teach them in terms of the Pali word. I say, if you can, try to remember Pali word. Some more, we are from Mahindrama. I always say MSP has Mahindrama Sunday Pali School. So the Pali is very important. So I teach my students. I can share with you later or with Suhua if they like. We learn it as I teach them like mnemonics. I like mnemonics. So it's a words. For example, for 10th perfection, I write in, of course, in Pali, Dana, Sila, Nekama. So I have a sentence. Is Dato Simon Neo's patient, very kind. She adopted many unicorns. So Dana Sila. So this is just how I teach my students to remember. And for example, just now you shared the Four Noble Truths. Some people say the fourth one is Maga. Maga means way. But some teacher teach as Patipada. That means path. So I of course it's in Pali. So I will teach them is dogs sniff nice people, or dogs sniff nice men. If this is in Pali, I probably actually I took photos of my posters I put up in my notice board. Maybe I send it to you or Tsuhua. You just have a look. This is another way to memorize. And then the Noble Eightfold Path. Of course, everything is sama. Samadhi, samadhat, samadhis, right? And so the thing to remember is the Diti, Sankappa, Vacha, Kamanta, Ajiva. During exam, they like to ask, the Pali word. Yeah. So Noble Eightfold Path, I also use mnemonic. Dato Sani, very kind, and very silly. So I memorize, I help the children to remember as in the sentence, or I will tell them it's actually the first alphabet of each word, and then you make your own, whatever that you want to make. Like you can put a character of the favorite cartoon, or maybe your video game or something. So it becomes very relatable, and then it's a good way to memorize. Yeah, thank you.
Wow, wow, that's a good idea. Thank you so much. So, yes, send it over. I
Yeah,
will
I
include
will
it.
send you. You have a look.
Yeah.
But this is just an example how I memorize things, and I teach my students to memorize. The memory tool is called mnemonics. So
Mm,
you get the first alphabet of what you want. You have all the alphabet together, and then you make it into a sentence, into a funny story or anything. Yeah,
mm,
that is one way to memorize. It's very helpful for you all to memorize because these words are very important. One day when you are having difficulty, or you want to use the Dhamma, then you recall and memorize it and you think. Yeah, so these things are good to memorize. Thank you.
mm. Yeah. Send it over. I will include that in next week's slides. Yeah. So I'll include these are extra ways to memorize. If anyone else also has like more ways to memorize it, feel free to share. It's okay. I mean, anyone can use any way to share, right? Of course. It's just uh whatever suits you, right? Whatever
Oh,
suits
another
you.
thing I'd like to share for the Noble Eightfold Path, I teach my children as in movements. So first is right view, that we do together, right view, and then right thoughts. We have thoughts. We do movement, right speech. So we point to our feet, of our mouth. Then right action. Then we move our hands. Right livelihood. We carry our briefcase. I'm not here. Carry your briefcase. Go to work. And then right effort. You can show like muscle exercise. And then right mindfulness, back to the mind. And then right samadhi, you can just meditate like that. So
Yeah.
as you say the word, you can do the movement, then it helps you to remember. That's just another technique I teach my students.
Very good, very good. Thank you, thank you, thank you for sharing, Teacher Kwa. Really appreciate it. Good, good. I'll include the mnemonics in next week's slides. So give people an extra toolkit, right? Extra way to memorize it, and then the action one is also pretty cool, right? So for children, it is a very good way to engage their whole body, right? In memorizing it. So it's very good. Thank you so much for sharing. Sadhu, sadhu. Appreciate it. Yep. Okay, anyone else? Any questions or anything to add or share?
I think Junwei is going to sleep already. Yeah, Junwei. Okay, the naughty ones are all from Mahindrama. Yes. Mingchi also, yes. You see all the naughty, cheeky ones, they're all from Mahindrama.
No,
I
they're
see
very.
you, Junwei.
Hi,
Yeah,
Junwei and
yeah,
Mingqi. Yeah,
yeah. Okay, thank you.
yeah. No lah, not naughty lah. They're very obedient.
But usually I would say they are very natural. Yeah. They're very natural and very relaxed. They are who
Hmm.
they are, they are very relaxed. You see, one is eating dinner, one is going to sleep.
Yeah.
This I've noticed is the style of Mahindrama. We tend to be quite laid back and relaxed and casual. Maybe it's a Penang people vibe, all the Penang Abah and Penang Anya very a more laid back vibe.
Penang more laid back, man. Penang people
Uh,
very gung ho. No.
Maybe and temper lah. But when they drive, they are like crazy people.
Yeah,
The
yeah.
drivers are. I think it's very funny also. Like sometimes they are very laid back, or sometimes they are very gung ho, like you said.
Mm.
But it's quite casual. The how we behave quite casual. Yeah. Hey,
Yeah.
brother Weekend, I think you better go and rest.
Yes. Okay, let's get a group photo now. Let us get a group photo now. Everyone can turn on the
Yeah.
camera, and then yeah, and then I'll go to sleep. Yeah, I need to go to sleep now. Yeah. So I'll wait for around 10 seconds for those who want to turn on your camera. If you cannot turn on your camera, that's fine. Yeah. All right, everyone ready? Good. Okay, excellent. Good. So I'm gonna wait. Okay, good. All right, everyone, look in the camera and smile. 1, 2. One more. 1, 2. Okay, good. Photo taken. All right. So now let's go to the final. No questions, anyone? Anyway, if you have questions, you can ask in the WhatsApp group. All right. Yeah, no questions, you can ask in the WhatsApp. Any more questions, you can ask in the WhatsApp group. Yeah. All right. Let's go. We have reached the end of today's session. Yes. So yeah, let's share merits and then we can end the session today. All right. So this is Pati Dana, one of the 10 skillful actions or one of the 10 grounds of meritoriousness. All right. Pati Dana. When we share our goodness, so we've done a lot of good actions today. So for example, we have done Ditiju Kama, straightening our views. We have done Dhamma Savana, listening to the Dhamma. We've done Dhamma Desana, teaching the Dhamma, sharing the Dhamma. So now we're going to do Pati Dana. Yeah, we want to share the goodness and the power of our good actions with all beings. All right. Okay, excellent. So let us chant these verses of sharing of merit together. Imang no punya bhagang sabba sattanang dema. Imang no punya bhagang sabba sattanang dema. Imang no punya bhagang sabba sattanang dema. We share this merit with all beings. May they rejoice in our merit and be well, happy, and peaceful always. Idang me nyatinang hotu sukhita hontu nyatayo. Idang me nyatinang hotu sukhita hontu nyatayo. Idang me nyatinang hotu sukhita hontu nyatayo. Let my merits accrue to my departed relatives. May they be well and happy. Let's make our aspiration. Imina punya kamena mame bala samagamo. Satang samagamo hotu yava nibbana pantiya. By the grace of these merits that I've acquired, may I never meet evil and wicked people. May I meet the wise and virtuous until I attain my final emancipation. Idang me punyang asava kaya vahang hotu. Idang me punyang nibbana sa pachayo hotu. By the power of this merit, may it lead to the extinction of defilements. By the power of this merit, may I attain the final realization of Nibbana. May all beings be well and happy. 愿一切众生离苦得乐. Semoga semua makhluk hidup berbahagia. Sabbe satta sukhi hontu. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. All right, thank you so much, everyone. And start doing your past year papers. And any questions, you can share them in the WhatsApp group. All right? Okay. Good night, everyone. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Sadhu, sadhu.
Thank you.